You've heard of the Bermuda Triangle, famous for its mysterious disappearances. But have you heard of another place where people vanish without a trace? A place where the unexplained becomes reality, and every disappearance leaves more questions than answers. The Bennington Triangle horror stories are going to keep you up at night. Our story begins in the early 1940s. It's a quiet, peaceful area in Vermont, surrounded by lush forests and mountains. But behind this beautiful landscape, there is a series of strange disappearances that no one can explain. Mystery 1. Carl Herrick. Disappearance. The first mysterious case was Carl Herrick in November 1943. This incident is often overlooked in discussions about the Bennington disappearances because a body was found and a cause of death was given. Carl was hunting with his cousin Henry about 16 kilometers northeast of Glastonbury Mountain, which is at the center of the triangle. The two got separated, and Henry contacted the authorities to look for Carl. After a few days, searchers found Carl's body. His gun was nearby, but no bullets had been fired. The autopsy showed that Carl died from being squeezed so hard that his ribs punctured his lungs. Surprisingly, the townsfolk did not seem very concerned afterward. Mystery 2. Mitty Rivers. Disappearance. The second mysterious case in this strange area happened in November 1945. Mitty Rivers, a 74-year-old local hunting guide, was leading a group of hunters through the dense woods of Hell Hollow in Glastonbury. Rivers knew these woods like the back of his hand. As he led the group back to their camp, he walked ahead of them. When the hunters caught up, Mitty was gone. Search parties combed the forest, believing that such an experienced woodsman would soon surface in town. They found only a single rifle cartridge left behind. Despite a massive search effort involving over 300 locals and U.S. Army soldiers, Mitty Rivers was never seen again. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Disappearances in the Bennington Triangle aren't just a recent phenomenon. Reports of people going missing date back to as early as 1873. It's as if the area has always had a dark, mysterious pull. Mystery 3. Paula Jean Welden disappearance. You can't help but feel a chill as you hear about the next mysterious vanishing story. In 1946, an 18-year-old student named Paula Jean Welden went missing. Paula was a student at Bennington College. During Thanksgiving break, while most students went home, she decided to hike a part of the long trail. On Sunday, December 1st, 1946, Paula was last seen wearing a bright red jacket as she entered the long trail near Glastonbury Mountain. When she didn't show up for her classes on Monday, a huge search began. More than 1,000 people joined the search, and a $5,000 reward was offered for any information. Despite the massive search effort, which included planes and many police officers, no one found any clues about what happened to Paula. Her father and others were upset, feeling that the authorities didn't do a good job handling the case. Because of this, the Vermont State Police was formed 7 months later. Paula's disappearance remains a mystery to this day. Mystery 4. James E. Tedford. Disappearance. Exactly 3 years to the day after the vanishing of Paula Welden, the Bennington Triangle saw one of its more seemingly supernatural disappearances. That day, a 68-year-old man named James E. Tedford boarded a bus to Bennington after visiting relatives in St. Albans, Vermont. Numerous eyewitnesses, including the driver, later confirmed that Tedford had been in his seat as late as the last stop before Bennington. Yet when the bus finally pulled into Bennington, Tedford was nowhere to be found. After James Tedford mysteriously vanished while on the moving bus, passengers were confused. They saw that his luggage and an open bus timetable were still on his seat. If the witnesses were right, Tedford disappeared from his seat while the bus was traveling through the Bennington Triangle on Route 7. Mystery 5. Paul Jepson. Disappearance. In October 1950, the strange disappearances in the Bennington Triangle continued with the case of Paul Jepson. Paul was an 8-year-old boy who lived with his parents in Bennington. On one beautiful autumn day, Paul was happily playing in the family pickup truck while his mother tended to the pigs at the town dump, where she and her husband worked as caretakers. Paul's mother went to the other side for a while, but when she returned to the truck, she was stressed and screaming as Paul was gone. She quickly called the police, and a huge search began. Hundreds of volunteers, police officers, and firefighters were searching for a beautiful younger kind with full enthusiasm. A New Hampshire sheriff brought a bloodhound to help track Paul's scent. The dog followed Paul's trail to a nearby crossroads, but then the scent disappeared. The police thought that maybe someone in a car had picked him up. Despite all their efforts, they couldn't find any trace of Paul. Some people wondered if Paul's parents had something to do with his disappearance, even suggesting that the pigs might have been involved. However, Paul's father had a different, haunting idea. He told the Albany Times-Union that Paul had been strangely fascinated by the mountains. In the days before he disappeared, Paul couldn't stop talking about them. His father wondered if the lure of the mountains had somehow taken his son away. Mystery 6. Frida Langer. Disappearance. Only about 2 weeks after Paul Jepson went missing, 53-year-old Frida Langer, an experienced hiker and survivalist, also disappeared. Frida was familiar with the area and went missing while hiking on the Somerset section of the Long Trail, near East Glastonbury. Frida was hiking with her cousin Herbert Eisner when she slipped and fell into a stream. She decided to head back to camp to change her wet clothes, where her husband was resting due to a hurt knee. But neither her husband nor her cousin saw her again. The search for Frida was massive. Helicopters from the Connecticut Coast Guard, the U.S. Army in Massachusetts, local aircraft, and even the Vermont Aeronautics Commission helped in the search. Up to 400 people, including the Massachusetts National Guard, searched the surrounding areas carefully, but found nothing. 6 months later, Frida's body was discovered near the Somerset Reservoir. This was strange because the area where she was found had been searched many times before. Her body was so badly decayed that no cause of death could be determined. This only led to more questions and speculation about what might have happened to her. Some people thought there was foul play involved. They wondered if someone had moved her body there later. The body's condition made it hard to find any clear answers, only adding to the mystery of her death. Within the years from 1943 to 1950, there were many more cases of people going missing, but these were the most iconic ones. So, let me know in the comments what you think happened. When trying to solve the mysteries of the Bennington Triangle, there are few clues. The only things that seem similar are that the disappearances happened close to each other. Most people went missing between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m., and most disappeared in the last 3 months of the year. Theories and speculations. Here are some of the popular theories. Paranormal activity. Some believe the disappearances are the work of aliens or a supernatural force. There have been claims of strange lights in the sky, unusual sounds, and sightings of strange creatures. Others suggest the disappearances could be due to a time warp or an interdimensional portal. Serial killer. The idea of a serial killer has been considered. The disappearances happening in winter, and the lack of evidence might suggest someone was successfully abducting and killing people. However, the victim's variety in age and gender does not fit the usual pattern of a serial killer. Animal attacks. Another theory is that wild animals like cougars or black bears were responsible. However, cougars are extremely rare in the area, and there has never been a black bear known to kill multiple people. Lost in the woods. Some believe the people simply got lost in the dense forest and succumbed to the elements. In 2008, a man named Robert Singley got lost in a heavy fog and spent the night in the woods. He was lucky to make it back to his car the next morning. Others might have succumbed to hunger, thirst, and hypothermia, but why aren't there any bodies or clues? Falling into mine shafts. Another theory is that the hikers fell into unmarked mine shafts or wells. Considering how remote the area is, if someone fell into one of these shafts, they might never be found. But what modern reports say is strange. In recent years, people have become curious about the Bennington Triangle again. On September 17, 2019, a woman named Jessica Hildenbrandt was found dead near the Somerset Reservoir. She was murdered, but no one knows who did it. In August 2021, a man named Joseph Schunig was found in his truck at the same place. He had taken his own life. Both Jessica and Joseph were connected by the color red, making the mystery even stranger. The Bennington Triangle is still a place where people go missing and leave us with many questions. Whether it's because of nature, bad people, or something spooky, these mysteries keep confusing and interesting us. If you enjoy this content, check out some other horror mysteries, as well as some haunting unsolved murders that will keep you up at night. Don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, and keep them awake by sending these videos.